The J-15, often referred to by its nickname Flying Shark, is China's first operational carrier-based fighter jet. Derived from the Russian Su-33 Flanker D, it was intended to form the core of the People's Liberation Army Navy's carrier aviation capabilities. While its deployment marks a significant technological milestone for China's naval ambitions, the aircraft is plagued by a wide range of shortcomings that limit its performance and reliability, particularly in the demanding context of carrier-based operations. One of the most fundamental problems with the J-15 lies in its sheer weight. As a platform initially based on a heavy, land-based airframe, the modifications required for carrier operations, such as reinforced landing gear, folding wings, and naval avionics, only added to its already substantial weight, pushing the empty weight of the aircraft to over 17 tons. This makes it one of the heaviest naval fighters in operation anywhere in the world. The consequence of this excessive weight is that the aircraft is poorly suited to operate from China's existing aircraft carriers, such as the Liaoning and the Shandong, both of which employ ski-jump launch systems rather than catapults. Ski-jump launch systems inherently restrict the takeoff weight of the aircraft, which means that pilots must choose between carrying a full weapons payload and a full fuel load. As a result, the aircraft's operational radius and time on station are significantly curtailed, limiting its combat effectiveness in real-world scenarios. Beyond these structural and operational design issues, engine performance and reliability represent another major area of concern. Early versions of the J-15 were equipped with Russian-supplied Al-31F engines, which, although functional, were never designed to support the aircraft's weight and operational environment. These engines were underpowered for the airframe, leading to suboptimal thrust-to-weight ratios and compromised maneuverability, particularly in high angle of attack scenarios such as takeoffs, landings, or tight dogfighting maneuvers. Additionally, the maintenance cycles of these engines were relatively short, and their reliability, particularly in maritime conditions involving high humidity and salt corrosion, proved inadequate. In an effort to improve self-reliance and performance, China transitioned to the domestically produced WS-10 engines. However, these too have faced a litany of problems. Numerous reports indicate that the WS-10 engines are susceptible to nozzle jamming, in-flight flameouts, and even spontaneous fires. These mechanical issues are compounded by the unique stresses imposed by carrier operations, which demand rapid throttle changes, high-G maneuvering, and precise control, all areas in which engine stability is paramount. Consequently, both sets of engines, whether imported or domestically developed, have failed to inspire confidence among pilots and planners. The J-15 also suffers from several challenges in its flight control systems and onboard electronics. Reports have emerged of persistent bugs in the aircraft's digital flight control systems, especially when attempting carrier-style landings under stressful or unstable atmospheric conditions. In some instances, the aircraft has been observed to pitch up unexpectedly or to fail to respond promptly to pilot commands, problems that are potentially fatal during the narrow flight envelope of carrier landings. Compounding this is the fact that, especially in its earlier production blocks, the J-15 was equipped with avionics and sensors that were relatively outdated when compared with Western counterparts such as the U.S. Navy's F/A-18E Super Hornet or the stealthy F-35C. These limitations are apparent in its radar systems, electronic countermeasures (ECM), data link integration, and cockpit interface. While improvements have likely been made over time, these aircraft were initially fielded with less effective, less integrated systems, forcing pilots to rely more heavily on discrete instruments rather than benefiting from modern sensor fusion environments where information is synthesized and prioritized automatically. This increases cognitive load, reaction time, and situational ambiguity in combat scenarios. In addition to the technical drawbacks, the operational readiness of the J-15 fleet has been problematic. Reports from defense analysts and leaked military documents suggest that, at any given time, less than half of the J-15 aircraft are fully mission-capable. This is due to a combination of high maintenance requirements, part failures, and wear and tear resulting from the harsh conditions of sea-based aviation. Naval aircraft are subjected to greater corrosion from saltwater exposure, sudden temperature changes, and the shock of arrested landings and catapult launches, though China's carriers lack the latter, and the J-15 was simply not designed from the ground up with these factors in mind. The high maintenance demands lead to longer turnaround times and reduced sortie generation rates, ultimately weakening the aircraft's value in sustained combat operations. Alongside these issues, the safety record of the J-15 has been troubling. The aircraft has been involved in several crashes, some fatal, that stem from a combination of flight system failures, mechanical breakdowns, and possibly pilot error exacerbated by a lack of training depth. China, unlike the United States, lacks a long institutional history of carrier aviation, and both its pilots and its support crews are still gaining experience with the complex choreography of launching, recovering, and maintaining high-performance aircraft at sea. As a result, the likelihood of accidents remains elevated. Compounding the design and performance flaws is the fact that the J-15 has never been tested in actual combat. Unlike U.S. Navy aircraft, which have decades of real-world operational experience in conflicts ranging from the Gulf War to recent engagements in the Middle East and Indo-Pacific, the J-15 has only been used in training exercises and symbolic power projection missions. These missions, while useful for developing experience and doctrine, do not replicate the complexity and danger of full-scale combat. As such, the aircraft remains unproven under fire, and its combat survivability and lethality are largely speculative. Without battlefield validation, it's difficult to assess how the J-15 would fare in contested environments against modern peer adversaries equipped with advanced surface-to-air missiles, electronic warfare systems, and fifth-generation fighters. Several incidents illustrate the operational and mechanical vulnerabilities of the J-15. In the early 2010s, during the first phases of carrier trials and land-based simulations, multiple test flights experienced hydraulic system failures and control problems. One particularly close call occurred when the arresting gear failed, nearly resulting in a crash. These were precursors to more serious accidents. On April 6, 2016, a J-15 suffered a malfunction in its flight control system shortly after takeoff. The pilot ejected, but the altitude was too low for the parachute to fully deploy, resulting in a severe spinal injury. Just 3 weeks later, on April 27, 2016, another J-15 crashed during a simulated carrier landing. The aircraft abruptly lost pitch control, and Major Zhang Chao, the pilot, was unable to recover in time. He died following a failed ejection. Post-incident investigations attributed the tragedy to flaws in the aircraft's flight control software. In July 2017, a J-15 experienced a catastrophic engine fire caused by a bird strike during takeoff. Though the pilot managed to bring the damaged aircraft back to the ground, the fire caused severe damage and further highlighted the platform's vulnerability to foreign object ingestion and engine integrity. More recently, in April 2024, a fatal crash occurred over the South China Sea under circumstances still shrouded in partial secrecy. However, mechanical failure was widely suspected. A year later, in March 2025, another J-15 crashed near Hainan province during a training flight. Eyewitness accounts suggest the engine nozzle may have become stuck open during the approach, causing the aircraft to lose control. The pilot ejected successfully, but the aircraft was lost. The incident was linked to simultaneous engine and flight control malfunctions. Then in June 2025, two J-15s conducted an intercept mission against a Japanese P-3C maritime patrol aircraft, flying aggressively close, within 50 meters, during a prolonged shadowing maneuver. While this event did not result in a crash, it caused an international diplomatic protest from Japan and raised concerns about both the aircraft's handling and the judgment of its pilots, suggesting either a lack of discipline, confidence in the aircraft's agility, or a dangerous underestimation of the risks involved. The limitations of the J-15 encompass nearly every category relevant to modern naval aviation. From its overweight airframe, incompatible with ski-jump carrier designs, to its unreliable engines, its unstable flight control systems, its outdated avionics, and its maintenance-heavy design, the aircraft is more of a stopgap than a long-term solution. It exists in a force that is still learning the complex art of carrier operations and suffers from low availability rates and a relatively high accident count. Add to this the complete absence of real combat experience and it becomes clear that, despite its imposing appearance and symbolic significance, the J-15 remains a deeply flawed aircraft. However, it's important to recognize that it also represents a vital developmental step in China's broader effort to build a blue water navy. The experience gained in designing, building, flying, and maintaining the J-15, flaws and all, will contribute to the evolution of more advanced naval aircraft. China is already working on improved variants, such as the J-15T with catapult launch compatibility and an active electronically scanned array (AESA) radar, and is expected to field more capable stealth-based carrier fighters like the J-35 in the future. Thus, while the J-15 may be riddled with performance issues, it nonetheless serves as a foundational platform for China's ongoing maritime aviation ambitions.